broadcasting and streaming live all across America. This is Home Talk USA with Michael King, where we will discuss topics pertaining to your home with industry-leading experts. Michael King is a licensed general contractor with more than 30 years of experience in home improvements and the author of Contracting with the King. Join us this hour for our segment Invent America with your co-host, the Inventor Lady, Rita Crompton. Discover what's next in the home improvement industry and explore new products and innovations. Or if you have that next great big idea, learn what it takes to bring your invention to the world. As Michael King and Rita Crompton talk to America's inventors and innovators. Remember, the America of tomorrow is being invented today. We invite you to visit us at HomeTalkUSA.com, one of the best resources for home improvement information around today. Your best life begins with your best home, and there's no place like Home Talk. That's HomeTalkUSA.com. And now, we proudly present Invent America from the #1 home improvement radio program in the country, Home Talk USA, with your host, the Cajun contractor, Michael King, and his co-host, the Inventor Lady, Rita Crompton.
Yay! This is Michael King, and this is Home Talk USA right here on the Home Improvement Broadcasting Network. And I'd like to welcome my co-host to the Invent America show right here on the King's Broadcasting Network, and to give us an update what's going on with Invent America. And she's on the line right now. Rita, Inventor Lady, how you doing?
Hello there. How are you today?
All right. You missed me last week?
Oh, I did. Always. You know, I always tell the guys I don't do the yee. So, you know, we need you to come back and introduce us properly.
Well, I was frozen last week. We were down in New Orleans, 2 foot of snow. The whole city shut down for 3 days. It was not a good sight down here. But hey, I'm defrosted. Everybody's commenting on my beard a little bit. It looks a little white. I gotta shave, you know.
Yeah. You fit right in here in Tennessee.
Lot going on. I know you're preparing for some upcoming shows, and we're going to talk about that as we get close. But Invent America, wow. I talked about this with Greg in the first hour. He was my guest, and about what we can expect with the new president coming in and pro-business. And I think it's going to explode. I know it's going to explode. But let's talk to, I don't know, our audience of people that's thinking about, has that idea right now. And maybe how can they, I guess what I want to say, I want to discuss prototyping, the steps of prototyping. And why does that matter? Okay, so you have the idea, you put it on a piece of paper, and now you're blocked. And now you have to get it from that piece of paper to some type of prototype, right?
Yep. And, you know, that's what we always talk about is, you know, have idea, you know, draw it out on paper, get a baseline, and then get out into the garage, the basement, the kitchen, doesn't really matter where, you know, get some duct tape, cardboard, Legos, Play-Doh. You know, I have seen some really good ones made out of pipe cleaners. You know, people will go to, you know, Walmart or Home Depot, buy a few things off the shelf, take it apart and put it together to at least give them a rough prototype. Okay. Yeah. So, you know, it proves to in your head, do you have something you can work with? So at that point, then it's like, all right, let's get a search done. Let's know what else is out there that is in this realm. Well, that helps inventors in multiple ways. One, if something's out there that's dead on, you know, go on to your next idea. But a lot of times what happens is now they can see drawings of the things that have been done and they can focus on why theirs is better or different. And that's the key right there. You know, my industry expert is Michael Miller. We've talked about, you know, when a person like him who's going and looking at prototypes at a trade show, what is he looking for? And it's that industry game changer. It's that product that might have, you know, a little bit of a difference, but it makes a huge difference to that particular industry. And that's that prototyping stage, Michael, that we're looking at is like, how do you know? So, you know, we get a lot of people who will go to that show with just their proof of concept prototype and get feedback. And they listen and folks ask them questions and they get to ask questions. Then they can decide whether or not they want to take that next step.
Now, should you do that, have patent pending going on before you get to that? Because that's where the gray area is, right?
Oh, you betcha. Yeah, we always tell, we're getting ready to do some videos like, which comes first, the chicken or the egg. Well, that you can flip a coin, but in the product world, which comes first, the patent or the prototype? It's the patent. Hello, it is always the patent before you start showing off. And the thing is that time is the inventor's enemy. That as they're playing in their garage, fine tuning that prototype, they should have filed a provisional patent application, because then they can play with it for a year. But oh yeah, by all means, we don't take anything to the show that is not patent pending with a provisional.
And I'm shocked how many times when I would go in a booth and talk to, especially, of course, not your booth, because you've already cleared all that. You're not going to allow anybody to come to your booth and, demo and display at a trade show if they don't have a patent pending application. Yeah, but you'd be shocked. I mean, you got no protection at all. Yeah.
I've actually had examiners find where someone was on our loaded onto our platform and then come back and ask because they saw it out there and they want to know whether or not a patent had been filed. And so they go looking. And if you've got something out there on the internet and you have not filed a patent on it, you've put it out there in the public domain, and, they just, torch you over it.
Well, and we have a sponsor of the show, and we mention them every week. Product Quick Start, Noah Neely, his company, right? And not that we promote his company. He's a sponsor, but at the end of the day, we know that if somebody calls the show and says, "How do I get some expert prototyping going on?" we have somebody we can send them to. You understand?
Oh, absolutely. And he does a good job. I know that one of our guests today has used Noah McNeely to get his prototypes ready for the show. There will be at least 2 of the guys there that use Noah. And everybody I've talked to who's used Noah has talked very highly of him. And he's been a really good contact for our inventors. Been doing it for a long time. So we are grateful to have him.
And I want to tell my audience, please go to our website at hometalkusa.com when we list our shows for the week. And when you see Noah Neely as a guest, you need to call the show. You need to contact us because he will help you out in when it comes to that. And because we trust Noah, he's well beyond. You have to watch the scrupulous people out there, and Noah's company, Product. Quick Start is an amazing company, and he didn't pay me anything to say that. He sponsors your show. He don't sponsor mine. So
I know.
He sponsors your show.
He just sent me a lady who's got a really cool product and wants to license it. So she's used him to go through all of the steps, and now she doesn't want to manufacture. She wants to license. It's a very interesting product, and so by all means, we send people to him on a regular basis because he's straight with folks. He goes, this is the time frame. This is the cost. These are the steps. And there's lots of steps in getting it from, your rudimentary drawings. He's really good at working with people.
Very seldom you're going to get it right on the first time around on your first prototype. Yeah. I've seen many prototypes, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10
Oh,
deep. Yeah. You just, there's a lot of moving parts going on right there. Rita?
Yep, absolutely. I've asked people, so how many prototypes do you have? And he said, I've got a museum of prototypes. And, my garage is full of my prototypes. And, my wife is, wanting to, reclaim her territory because of prototypes.
Talk about your rebranding, though. I never mentioned that, about your rebranding. I want to talk about that. Now it's America's Inventor Lady, right? What's the story behind it? Because I always call you the Inventor Lady, but now America's Inventor Lady.
Well,
what happened?
There was this thing called Invent America Radio because Americans invent. And so, when we wanted to then kind of match up and blend the 2 logos, America's Inventor Lady is the one that made sense. And it has nothing to do, don't tell anybody I said this, but when you look at the alphabet, it starts with A.
A, yeah.
And so we wanted to be at the top of the alphabet.
And I love your flag, too. I love the United States. It's a flag. America invents. America's Inventor Lady. So, you got it right here on this show. She is reinventing herself after 30-something years. You know what I mean?
I do. And I look better in red and blue than I do in orange. So, what can I say? That's my vanity coming out.
Oh, man. I'm excited. Think about it. Home Talk USA America's Inventor Lady and Made in America. Man, if this is not a pro-American show, what is it, man? We got it all covered. You know what I mean?
That's right. That's right. We do.
Hey, just think about it. If you think about it, hey, we'll help you put it on paper. And then we can take it from paper and do the prototype and finish the prototype, get it into manufacturing. And, the most important part, distributing it. You know what I mean? And that's when you're gonna finally get paid. So
I know. I just got done off the Made in USA site, looking at all the different products that Don Buckner has. I know he's friends with Greg and with our Made in America guy. But I was out looking for what
all right,
they've got.
we got to cut you off. We got to take a short break. We're going to be back, and we're going to do the Invent America show. America's Inventor Lady. I'll be right back. Yay! Hey, welcome back to Hope Talk USA right here on the King's Broadcasting Network. This is the Invent America show by America's Inventor Lady herself, Miss Rita Crompton. And don't forget, hey, please patronize our sponsors. This segment of the show is sponsored by Impeccable Air, leaders of whole home air ventilation. If you want to improve the quality of the air in your home, think Impeccable Air, impeccableair.com. And it has never been easier. ImpeccableAir.com. Don't forget, they're now in Home Depot. Rita, we got a great show, and I know you have Jeff waiting in the green room. So why don't you go ahead and introduce Jeff?
I will. And everyone, thank you so much for being with us for this segment of Invent America, because America invents. Always have, always will. We solve problems. And Jeff is cool because he has solved a big problem. As soon as I saw it, I knew that it was going to be a big success. But today we're talking about specifically, what do people learn when they go to a professional trade show with a prototype? And we had several inventors who went last year with us with a prototype. Oh my goodness, they learned so much. They went back, they filed, additional intellectual property. They added some things to make their product better and more useful. And I know that Jeff had been to a show a couple of years ago, and then he basically did the same thing. So Jeff, thank you for being with us, by the way.
Oh, sure.
Jeff Gerhart from Colorado, and his product is called a Squeegit. All right, so tell us kind of what happened with the first show, what you learned, and then how you changed the product.
Yeah, basically, I went to the first show with what we call a garage prototype. And so you talked earlier in the show about, baling wire and cardboard tubes and all that stuff. And it was born of that type of effort, trying to solve a problem around the house in terms of snow removal. And it turns out it does a lot of other things too. But yeah, so it's a garage prototype, and basically went to the show with it and got some interest from different individuals with different sectors of service organizations. Like we had some guys really interested from sawmills for moving sawdust on concrete floors, and diesel mechanics where they had oil and stuff mixed on the floor. They wanted to be able to move that around and pick it up. And then there's what I used it for mostly was for snow removal. So we had some people there. So as far as where we are now and what is the difference between the manufactured prototype version and the garage prototype is basically we get real specifications. I did nothing sexy when I put this together. You end up doing some modeling and actually building parts that need to be to spec, and those types of things are what goes into that more professional version of a prototype. And it's involved in something that I could actually see on a store shelf. So the cobbled together features that I had have become more efficient. We have some things that made it a lot easier, more usable for the end customer. And the focus to switch from getting to the thing to work to actually concentrating on things of the future, like how much is it going to cost? How much does it weigh? What kinds of customer sat issues we might run into if it doesn't work right, and packaging. And those are all things that came out of going to that show. I mean, I talked to different people and they had different comments, and that was good to take those in and try to use them going forward.
Well, you learn a lot when you are talking to professionals in your industry. And you can't learn that stuff talking to relatives or neighbors and friends. You've got to talk to the professionals who sell the products. And, it's really interesting when people say, well, can it do this? It needs to be in this price range. This is kind of what the packaging is going to look like. And you don't know unless you're talking to the guys who are going to be the resellers.
Yep, that's absolutely true. So going to the show, then you can engage some of these people. And I think the first show was a little bit hard because I'm in a kind of niche with tools, and there were different tools, but not necessarily anyone I connected with directly. I think some of the people that you introduced me to in the booth, Rita, were the most valuable in terms of their experience and some of the walk-bys. So, that's why I got there at the show.
So how are you going to work this show differently now that you've got the manufacturer's prototype?
Well, number one, I'll be able to show some features that we haven't been able to show before, or wasn't able to show the first time. And also, I think it's a lot more visually appealing and a little bit more understandable in terms of what it does and how it works. So we're going to be doing that. Going to be putting together some new content in terms of videos and those types of things that you can see it in action. The other thing I'm planning on doing is I think the show will have a better collection of people that I would like to talk to in terms of vendors and people who sell this type of product. So I'm encouraged to engage with those people. So,
and it's not like we can bring in a truckload of snow for you to demo, but at least now we've got a private room at this show, so you could actually meet with someone and they would be able to go over and touch, feel, slide the shovel around a little bit, and you don't have to worry about tripping anybody walking through the aisle.
Yeah, and if we have a cleanup on aisle 9 with popcorn or soda or something like that, we can actually do that right on the show floor.
Well, gee, we might have to stage something like that just so that you can show off.
Sure.
All right. So then what's next? What is your ultimate goal? Now you've got the manufacturers. Are you going to do a short run of product? What are you looking for?
Yeah, that's my thought. We can get it down into a price range that's reasonable for me to buy a lot of them from, a lot being a set, maybe 10, 1,500, something like that. Then I have people that I would give them to that are local, that have shops and different things where they could actually make use of it. I've gave several of the garage prototypes to friends of mine who live where I live, where we get a lot of snow. So they're really ecstatic about using this thing in the snow, and then basically get a chance to spread it around and maybe sell a few online and see how it goes.
Well, that's excellent. I know Squeegit is the product name. We've got some video on our website, Invent America Radio. So if you would like to see, at least the original type of prototype that Jeff had, Jeff, send me a link to some new video and we'll get that loaded up there so everybody can go out and see a little bit better idea of what it's going to look like when you get a manufacturing run done. And we will get that sent out to ASD because they are selling all of our products ahead of time and we are so excited and grateful to them. So stick with us, everybody. We will be right back with another inventor and you'll be able to hear about Wrap a Candle because holy cow, it's really cool and kind of the opposite place you'd use it than you would Jeff. So stick with us, everybody. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for being with us for this segment of Invent America. Why? Because Americans invent. Always have, always will. And this segment is brought to you by Trimislab. If you need to replace rotten or missing wood, sometimes you find it by a driveway, on a sidewalk, this stuff is amazing. It installs incredibly fast, looks great, and it can be removed. It's Trimislab, trimislab.com. Our guest for this segment is Jean Moody. This is the first time that she is going to one of these big trade shows with us. Very cool product called Wrap a Candle. And, it was funny because she asked me, she goes, all right, so tell me honestly, what do you think? And it's like, how fast can I get these? And she goes, okay, that'll work. So Jean, tell everybody, what is Wrap a Candle and why is it so cool?
Well, Wrap a Candle is an innovative product that replaces all of those, those half burned pillar candles that are all unshapely and ugly and unsightly, that you have sitting around collecting dust, taking up space. This is a product that you simply replace the wrap outside of it to give it a new look for maybe it's a special occasion, a 50th birthday party, retirement, or holiday, or just to go with your home decor. And the great thing is by replacing the tea light that sits in the cavity up top, you can enjoy the ambiance, the warm glow, and the fragrance of the candle without sacrificing the look of it. So you have candles all the time that you enjoy.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that I found great about it is, we've got this beautiful hardwood table. And the last thing I want is that wax melting down on the table. So I always put a really nice table runner under it. Well, that doesn't really solve the problem because the wax still melts and it still drips down all over the place setting and all over the table runner. And when that stuff gets hard, it's nearly impossible to get off. And you solved that problem.
Yes, I did. No more drips, no more melted, half melted, split open, way down the deep in the middle of that pillar. No more of that.
Well, and you solved, some of a fire issue as well, because as that candle melts down and it's been sitting now in, a really decorative setting, well, the next thing you know, that's on fire, so it saves, and they're expensive. Those pillar candles, they're gorgeous, but holy cow, if you want ones in color, they are expensive.
Like around $20 for just one candle. And then you don't want to burn it.
I know, right? I've got a dozen of them. You don't want to burn it because then they melt. And, sorry, gentlemen out there, if you're not really getting this, but, your wife is doing this and you could save you a ton of money by going out and getting your wife, the Wrap a Candle because it saves money, it saves furniture, it
good for the environment.
I know, right? You're not wasting, throwing all that the half burnt ones out into the trash. There's so many different ways that this is a cool product.
The cool thing is that you can also use the LED light. So if you're in a place where you can't have a live flame, you just use the LED candle.
I think it's so cool. And ASD also thinks it's cool because you were one of the few products that we sent in and submitted that they picked for the special display in those big display cases that they have out in the main entry. And they said, no, we want Wrap a Candle.
Yes. We're so excited about that opportunity.
And they picked their own theme. They said, okay, we want it to have this theme on it. And I go, I think we can do that. So yes, it's cool.
Loved it.
It is very cool. So what is your goal with Wrap a Candle, Jean? What are you shooting for?
I'm shooting for a licensing agreement. That's really what my hopes is by attending ASD in March, looking for someone to take the idea and run with it, because I think it is very innovative, and they're the professionals. They know how to take a great thing and launch it and go. That's not my expertise.
Well, and that's wonderful because, at our booth, we're the only innovative section. You are then automatically part of the Innovation Awards. And so people will be able to come by and vote for their favorite new product. And of course, it doesn't hurt that you're, out there in the front saying, come vote for me.
Yes, come vote for me.
Yes.
Wrap a candle for the win.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, we are really looking forward to, having you there and being able to show off your product. How long have you been working on Wrap a Candle?
2020 is when I started. I went in, did a lot, and then it just kind of sat back a little bit for a year. And then I kept getting these messages like, you know what, I need to get back to it. And so just about a year ago, brought it up again and now ready to go to ASD in March and get this plane lifted.
Yep. So you are able to do your product with rapid prototyping.
I can. Ideally, it would be a product that would be manufactured because the 3D printing is such that it's not as glamorous as manufactured in terms of it's white. I would envision this best being in clear, but I will have some product there for sale.
Well, that'll be excellent. I know that we are looking forward to, being able to get your product out there, and you've got that unique position where you're not manufacturing, but you could fill some orders if you had them.
Yes. Yes.
So, and they're always a little bit more expensive when you're doing 3D printing on demand as opposed to manufacturing 1,000 units.
For sure. For sure. It is going to be a little bit pricier. However, when we talk about the cost of pillar candles, it will still be a money efficient cost.
Yes.
For them.
I mean, if I'm buying 3 pillar candles as opposed to your framework and
Yep.
the covers, all right, I'm almost equal, and they're
Yes.
not going to burn and go away.
Hallelujah. Yep.
In that regards, they actually are cheaper. So, it will be a fun product to have there. I do know that burning stuff in the booth, probably not the best idea. They will come around and get really cranky with us. So make sure that you've got the battery powered
LEDs. Yes.
the
will
LEDs.
do.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, definitely. You can take them into the demo room and show them, the samples and everything. But yeah, for the booth, just, a little bit heads up, the LED lights will be preferred.
And my video has some burning, so they will be able to see the video of
Excellent.
some of the candles actually live.
Excellent. Excellent. So where do you go then? Is your 3D printer local for you?
No, San Diego, and then Art, I'm not sure, he's back east, so they're not local. They do have to print them and then ship them to me.
All right. How did you find him?
Well, Art, I found through you. Thank you for your referral. And he's been excellent to work with.
He's been doing this for a long time. I am really, really glad that he was able to help you. And
Yes.
I wasn't sure if that's because I don't always know, I say, oh, this is a really good guy. Use this guy for
Yes.
the 3D printing. I don't always know when you say, oh yeah, okay, that he's going to work. So I'm really glad that he did work.
Yes, for sure. In fact, he's printing some as we speak.
Well, he will be glad to know. And if anybody out there needs a 3D printer, let me know. I am more than happy to share Art's information. And, he is one of he's not like Noah McNeely, who does the manufacturer's prototype, like Noah did for Jeff with Product Quick Start. Art specializes more in the, let's get it from the duct tape and cardboard stage to the 3D prototype stage. And then he works in sometimes very, very specific elements, sometimes the medical special coatings. And so he's got his own little niche that he works in. So I'm really glad that it worked out for you.
Mhm.
And I am looking forward to meeting you, having you at ASD with us. And Jean, travel safely, and I will get you that address on the shipping. And thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you.
Everybody out there, if you are working on an idea, someone who's working on an idea, if they are at a point where they would like to be on the radio, have them let me know. It's amazing how fast a Monday rolls around and a Saturday rolls around, and we are getting people lined up to be on the show on a regular basis. And if they've got questions, if somebody is just struggling to get that next step up the ladder, have them get in touch. We know really good service providers that can help out. Obviously, you've heard from some of them. Stick with me. We are going to be back in just a minute with our industry expert. He's been doing this for a long time, and he's going to answer some fun questions about what does he look for when he's looking at a prototype. Stick with us, everybody. everybody. My name is Rita Crompton, host of Invent America Radio. Thank you so much for being with us this afternoon. This segment of our show is brought to you by Aztec Washer. It is a revolutionary and innovative way of fixing your roof. They've been around since 1968, so a long time. Seal it right, seal it tight, aztecwasher.com. And we're talking about ASD Market Week. It is coming up in 6 weeks, and we are counting the days and filling the spots. So if you know an inventor out there, you've got a product you're just getting started with, give me a call. We've still got some spots to fill, and we want to take 40 products/inventors out there to the show, show off the product, help make sales, find licensing deals, and just get feedback on products. And my industry expert for this segment is Michael Miller. I've known Michael, oh, golly, going on 20 years now, Michael. And I've learned a lot from you, and you have been very good to our inventors as far as helping give them feedback, make connections, and do the dance, getting the products out there.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
So tell everybody kind of what you do and why that prototype stage can really make a difference presenting it at a trade show.
Sure. So what I do now is I help inventors and also companies go through the process of getting their product either out into the marketplace or licensed with companies. So in many cases, you'll have companies that also need to have their products licensed by other companies. So I help people do that. And then as far as the prototypes, as you heard from your people that you had on here previously, prototypes are absolutely key, especially if you're at a trade show and having people come by and see the product, be able to touch, feel, see how it operates, talk with you. But it's really, really key for people to be able to understand it and what is it actually doing? What is it performing? How is it better than products that are previously out there? It's just absolutely key.
Yeah. And we've had people say, all right, I'm not going to move on with this because they get the feedback, at that stage that says, the problems that they've got with, or they can't match the consumer pricing. And consumer is God when it comes to pricing a product. So, we'll get the specialists, the professionals that come over and say, no, you've got to be hitting a $25 retail price on that. And they go, well, okay. And it's like, no, you need to understand now the multiple of 5. All right. So you've got to be able to make it, package it, and ship it for $5 because by the time everybody takes their piece out of it and you're retailing for 25, that multiple of 5, it's not on Mount Rushmore, but it could be.
Absolutely. And I think what many of the people that go to the trade shows, you can become discouraged by that, but also you should really be encouraged because in many cases, they will point out things that you can change about the product that can bring the pricing down, other ways of manufacturing the product using different materials, different types of manufacturing processes that can actually bring the pricing down and would actually get it into the correct price range.
Absolutely. That is so important that inventors understand sometimes, their prototypes are not a good reflection of the actual price of the product. It's not until you start working with the professionals and you say, no, it's not going to be $25 per unit. We're going to be able to get this down with mass production to $3 a unit. Okay, well, now you're in that multiple of 5 zone, and that is great. But sometimes it's not necessarily the patent you file on the product, but maybe the patent you file on the process of manufacturing it that can make a difference.
That's absolutely right. And in many cases, it's the design, it's the design patent that can be different from your utility patent, basically. So yes, there's just a lot of different ways to accomplish the same functionality of the product using different types of methods. And honestly, the going to a trade show like ASD and talking to all the people that come by, other inventors, it's just a wealth of information, and it will always help you get to a better place with your product.
You're exactly right. And there is a trade show for everything. I've been to the National Asphalt Show. It wasn't very big, but it was a very productive show. And, I tell inventors, go to the show that fits your industry.
Absolutely. Go to the shows that fit your industry, and you'll be surprised at the people that show up to some of these different shows as well that you wouldn't have expected to be there. You'll have chemical experts at the ASD show. I mean, yes, there'll be a lot of people with a lot of knowledge.
Well, and ASD for us is very different than some of the other shows that we've been to, because they actually embrace us and our inventors, and they take the products and pre-sell them, which we've never had at any of the other shows. We're the only innovator section there, and so Stephanie is our go-to VP of buyer relations, and she takes our products out and starts showing them to buyers to bring the buyers in.
That is awesome. Yeah, what a great camaraderie you have there and a great working relationship. It's just outstanding. And it does nothing but just help the inventors to get those products out there.
It doesn't, we get a kick out of Stephanie because she always says, everybody already knows what's been out there for a few years now. Everybody wants to see what's new. What can they come and buy that's gonna get the attention of the consumer again. Everybody knows what's already been there. And so our booth, and that's why they are co-sponsors of the Innovation Award, is that they want all of those buyers to come by, vote on the product that they like the best, but to see then what's there, and for whether it's licensing or buying inventory, just checking it out, giving feedback. They want to know what's new.
Absolutely. And that's what everybody needs. They all need new. Every single company.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So anyway, Michael Miller, thank you so much for being on with us today. And again, if you're out there, you want to see what's new, visit us at America Invents Radio. We've got all the products going with us listed there. If you know anybody out there who has got a product, have them get in touch ASAP. And we will be back next week with a new topic and new inventors. So stick with us, everybody, for Made in USA coming up in just a minute.